This next panel is very important. It's fundamental in the evolution of this space. So without further ado, I'm going to announce our next panelists on MiCA, Charting Europe's Crypto Regulatory Path, with our first speaker, Dr. Stefan from European Parliament, Thomas from European Central Bank, Stefan from Blockchain for Europe, and John Oliver from Coinbase, moderated by Eric Holst from PIABO. Please give them a round of applause.
For you guys, and for you guys. Hi, good day. How are you doing? Where are the crypto lawyers? Please raise your hand. Be bold. Where are the developers? Okay, where are the crypto degens? Okay, much more hands, of course. Great. Nice having you around. So this panel is, of course, incredibly important. Also fantastic that we have this round here. But first of all, a disclaimer, even though we have the representatives of very important organizations and institutions, they are all representing their own personal view. So let's keep the conversation here, not on Twitter, not on Facebook or somewhere else. And let's get started. I think, starting with you, Stefan, you are Mr. MiCA, the most influential person for crypto in 2023, probably also this year, hopefully next year as well after the elections. And if this would be a football match, I assume you are the striker and the team captain in this regard. Thomas, I believe you as a supervisor, mathematician, educator of the crypto bodies and the crypto jungle as well. If this would be a soccer match, I believe you are more like a goalkeeper. Would this be your role? Jan, I think you are team crypto captain, more or less, here in this room at least. I think maybe striker, maybe midfield position. What do you think? Is this? and certainly cutting no corners in getting all the licenses out there. And Steph, you are probably a defense player with all the around 20 members of the Blockchain for Europe Association, driving the conversation, driving as well law and the consensus of your industry. So, first of all, let's warm up. Let's take a look back of what happened the last few years. And my question to this round is, what's the good, the bad, and the ugly of MiCA? And we're starting with you, Stefan. Do you still keep the original 700 brick-sized paper file? Was this the bad part of MiCA?
Okay, yeah, but this wasn't actually not the bad part. When I had the honor to be the rapporteur for the MiCA file, for me it was a great chance personally to get inside the whole topic of crypto, and I had the opportunity to design a brand new thing, because Europe was the first continent on the earth, yeah, which have who has a regulation, and it took 2.5 years, or almost 3 years, to finish the work, and there was no precedent. Yeah, MiCA was world premiere, so to say, and we had a lot of very hard discussions and questions to be solved. And we had different positions in our negotiation rounds, and it was very hard to get some compromises, because we had the questions of the environmental footprint, of the question of the prohibition of the proof of work, and for me, in the end, it was a very hard work to put it all together and make a compromise which you can present the European Council. Mm-hmm. And in the end, we managed it. We avoided the ban of the proof of work. I do not want to make some political things. We are now in the election campaign, as you know. But keep your eyes open when you vote. Yeah. But in the end, for me, it was a starting point to give Europe a wide regulation and the chance to be technology open and develop a new world. This was what I did. This was my idea, and I did it with the ideas of the in Germany so-called soziale Marktwirtschaft. You need set some frames and let the people do.
Yeah, social market. Thanks. Thanks for creating also a positive vision for regulatory environment for companies. And something also what Thomas, I'd like to talk with you about is you've been interrupted during a lunch a couple of times because probably the ugly part of MiCA is as well, there's lots of confusion. People are getting wrong about MiCA, about regulators, about people in the ECB.
Yeah, so we discussed about the regulation, but the other part is the supervision. And let me get you back and make a very long story short, get you back 10 years ago. And that's when the banking supervision started at the EU. So currently the ECB is double the size that it was 10 years ago because there is a second part that is separated from the monetary policy side that is supervising the 115 more or less biggest European banks. And also providing some policy for the others. And this is where regulation received by the Commission as approved is implemented at the micro level at the banks. And this has major implications. So I said I'm just representing myself here. I'm just going to be able to bring you how supervision works, and this involves also MiCA. But I would also like to give a bit the big picture of MiCA. So MiCA is not like a standalone legislation that just some people just woke one day and yeah, let's have MiCA in Europe because it's cool, because it's crypto. It's part of a bigger plan of the digital finance package, and very closely related and working in tandem is the DORA regulation, the Digital Operational Resilience Act.
Yeah, we go into this. Yeah.
Yes. So all this works together. I will try to bring my part of the story, talking about the biggest 115 banks that we supervise, but I think most of the things are also going to relate to other entities in this ecosystem, and all this how they work together.
Cool. Awesome. We need this definitely here in this room. Jan, how much headache have you had because of MiCA in the last few years?
Well, I guess maybe to step back a few steps.
Yes.
I mean, Coinbase, and one of the reasons why I work there as well is because our mission is to promote economic freedom in the world, right? But what does that actually mean is, in the end, move crypto towards mass adoption. And personally, I feel I come from a TradFi background and have moved into crypto a number of years now, but years ago. But one of the reasons why I think that MiCA is important and to help take us further is that we need some kind of regulatory framework in order to allow us to go to mass adoption. I think the old way of crypto, where you find some kind of backdoor or some secret entrance or whatever, that works for the degens, that works for the real, the hardcore crypto anarchists. But I don't think it works for my mom, right? And so, we welcome MiCA, of course. There was in Germany previously there was the crypto License, which we also applied for and got at Coinbase. And we're happy to take the burden of the regulation because we feel like there's a strong positive outcome in the end at bringing crypto out of the dark a little bit. And so while of course there's a lot of work to do to set yourself up to follow the regulations and so on, we're happy that Europe has a kind of world-leading regulatory framework for crypto.
Yeah, and you're cutting those corners as well, making it happen, creating best practices as well.
Exactly. I mean, that's part of you setting yourself up as a regulated financial institution, which is what we are here in Germany. Involves building a team, putting together the processes that the regulator then expects of you, and undergoing regular audits of those processes to make sure that you are acting in the best practice under the law, right? So,
do you already know the first name of all the BaFin supervisors knocking on your door?
We only refer to each other by surnames, of course.
Okay. Steph, I wonder, especially with you 20 members, you are representing especially, what's the bad of the ugly part of MiCA? What are the things missing you have been sort of trying to collect and create a consensus about to cover in your work?
Yeah, but let me first maybe introduce a little bit Blockchain for Europe to those who don't know. We are a Brussels-based trade association representing native blockchain companies before policymakers in Europe and globally. As you said, we have 27 right now members, coming from more centralized like CASPs, like Coinbase here, sitting with us, but also protocols like Avalabs, Polygon, Uniswap, but also blockchain analytics companies. So we represent a wide variety of actors, and our primary goal is to educate. And I'm glad that Stefan mentioned that for everyone it was a new thing. It was something that we had to, as trade association, as the industry, our primary goal was to come to the policymakers and teach them the very basics, right? What are we dealing with? What are crypto assets? What are you talking about? What is blockchain? What is proof of work? How it differs? And the last couple of years, you may believe me or not, it's been basically that, right? So it basically has been reiterating the same things, trying to help them and show them how this technology develops. What is DeFi, right? How it differentiates. What are the aspects of decentralization? All of those questions, which to you are pretty obvious, but to those who make the law, they are not. So if you speak about MiCA, maybe let me say the good thing about MiCA first. I feel it's legal certainty, right? So for the first time, we actually know what we're talking about. We have taxonomy. We know what crypto assets are, how they're defined. And keep in mind, we are in the European Union. We have 27 member states. Each of them approach or not crypto assets before. So for them to finally have one definition they can refer to, it's mind-blowing, right? We don't have that in traditional finance. Financial instruments are not defined equally in all member states. So that's the very basic legal certainty that allows to passport your services throughout member states around the EU. Is definitely a game changer for the industry. But there's still certain shortcomings of the way the regulation looks like. And the couple of things I could mention are, the lack of certainty on NFTs, how they're going to be treated. You don't want to be treated financial instruments. Are they going to be in scope of MiCA or not? The second thing is decentralization. For now, MiCA excludes truly decentralized services. So truly decentralization is outside of the scope. But what does it even mean? And Commission here does not define exactly what it means.
All right.
So just to mention a few.
Yeah, I think this is the part where you have to go into it now, because the balance between innovation and regulation. And so let's try to cover this landscape. You already covered the parts you want to get clarified with MiCA 2.0. It's not just NFTs, it's of course all the DeFi services. Where are the lenders, where are the stakers in the room? Please raise your hand. Okay, all of you are affected, of course, with the next round of MiCA. And those are the things we sort of have to find out how to regulate them. But how? Should we start over here with the current landscape of MiCA? I just want to pass over the ball over here and find out from your side, maybe how many years do we sort of have to wait until MiCA 2.0? And what is beyond MiCA as well out there? The question to you too. Yeah. maybe let's say
There's a lot beyond MiCA. And there's a lot of technology and developments which are coming. Yeah? But one sentence before, the situation we have now is, in my opinion, a very good situation for whole Europe, because, as you said, we have clear definitions. We have clear requirements. Everybody knows what to do if you are in this cryptosphere. And let me make an example. We had the case of FTX.
Sure, we know that.
But in MiCA, inside there are requirements for crypto asset service providers. And you need a supervision architecture, you need control mechanisms, you need risk assessment, you need deposit insurance. We wrote down some requirements. And there was nothing was in FTX. I'm not sure if MiCA could have avoided FTX, I'm not sure. But now we have requirements and everybody knows what to do, and this is okay. So we made definitions. Everybody knows what is an e-money token, what is an asset reference token, a utility token, and we have some things left. A big space which is coming as a non-fungible tokens. We did not regulate them because it was a time 2 years before, yeah, and nobody knows about non-fungible tokens, and this will be a very wide field, which the legislation will be coming in the next term, and of course we have to look to the DeFi field. But I hope that we can do it with the same spirit as we did it in MiCA. What I want is make a very broad regulation, only set some lanes on the left and on the right, and then let the people do their work. I'm not sure when it will come, because now in June we have the election, and then it can take a very long time if we have a new commission.
Yeah.
Because it's not sure who will be president of the commission. Okay, I come from the EPP, we have some ideas, but we have to see how the elections are going. And then we have to install a very new commission, and then the commission has to start work. So I do not think, minimum 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah, then we will go.
Yeah, this will be an exciting year.
Next summer we can have here the next convention here in this stadium and talk about what's.
Yeah, definitely. We have to make some predictions as well, and so we talk about the rules. But let's talk about as well how to make sure the rules are followed. And this is for people in crypto, people for not in crypto, even people who are in law for a few years. That's quite a jungle. And I think you're the only one of the few ones who has the best overview of those bodies. And it's not just the ECB, which is regulating, right? And it's not just MiCA.
Yeah, exactly. So the situation is much more complex than that. But maybe before that, I comment on the regulation and how it appears. So we have to strike a balance about how reactive or proactive we want to be. Let's take NFTs, for example. If you're too early, you might stifle innovation. If you're too late, you might have a situation like a Wild West. So it's really not easy, and it is a political decision to see when you supervise something and with which information and data. But at some point you have the regulation. On these non-financial risks that we're talking about, because most of them are non-financial risks, it's not about credit most of the times, unless it's counterpart credit risk or liquidity or market. The regulation is principle-based. This means you have principles, and you have to apply them to the companies with a principle of proportionality, and also in a way to interpret the regulation on how it should be applied to the supervised entities. And this is also the sweet spot. Again, the ECB is not the main supervisor on MiCA, for sure. That's clear also in this process that is still ongoing with the level 2 and level 3 that is being created by the 3 ESAs. These are the authorities for banking supervision, for capital markets, and also for insurance market. I think the ESMA, the capital market, is the more applicable here, but also it's a very local situation. So in Germany, it's mostly about BaFin and Bundesbank that are the entry point, and the same also for the other national competent authorities.
And what do you think about, what advice would you give as well to those gentlemen over here and crypto in general in terms of how to navigate this jungle? Is the ECB the only one? Is MiCA the only thing? Or is, as well, as you said, DORA and the Cyber Resilience Act as well something to take care of?
Yeah, in my mind, we cannot really separate MiCA from all the digital finance package. So crypto asset service provider, CASPs, are also under DORA. It's one of the 19 entities that you can see in the chapter 2, I think, where the scope of DORA is. So you cannot avoid the security.
Let's explain shortly what DORA is.
DORA is the Digital Operation Resilience Act. It's a very important topic. So we move from mere risk management and management of losses to a more proactive approach. Proactive is resilience. Resilience is what? To continue, get back on your feet in the face of disruption. And this process will take many years that we come up with all the banks follow and all the other entities come with this definition. So how a crypto asset service provider can continue providing critical services in the face of disruption. That's not an easy discussion. Beyond my mandate and Digital Operation Resilience Act, I think something that really passed the media, because it was rather covered by the AI regulation and the generative AI developments, is the CRA, the Cyber Resilience Act. And this is a major issue for hardware manufacturers, also for software manufacturers.
And wallets as well.
Yeah,
Let's do a short survey. Who has heard about this act, Cyber Resilience Act? Okay, so everyone doesn't raise their hand, talk to the person and get some information about that.
So, I mean, there is a principle there. It's security by design. So my advice for crypto is also, it's good to innovate and have different ideas about new things. I'm also very inspired and really excited about all this. But we also have security in the design of service, because this will guarantee the viability of this business model and this service. For me, it's that simple, and I see it that way.
Yeah, so we have to set more than just rules. We also have to set up the standards of not just how do we define things, but also how we make sure that they are followed, and also so the next FTX is not possible at all.
And it's like a football game. You have to know the rules if you want to play, like we're here.
Yeah.
If you don't know the rules of the game, then it will be hard. Just know what's happening around, and then based on that, I mean, that's legislation. It's an enabler.
Yeah.
It's not a burden.
Let's pass over the ball over here to the crypto field. Let's start with Jan, because Dora, I'm not sure if you have it on your radar, but as a multi-party computation pioneer, I think you have it since quite a few years as well. That's having your keys as well on the cloud in multiple shards. So this is some real cool tech out there. Do you how do you navigate this environment currently? Maybe especially in Germany. How much do you look forward to have a standard set of rules with MiCA?
Well, like I said before, I think the good thing about MiCA is it's innovation friendly. It's not innovation stifling. I think one of the reasons why NFTs and DeFi were left out is because they weren't ready to regulate it yet, right? Which I think is absolutely the right way to go about it, right? Wait and find out, and then kind of regulate. And so that's all good. But obviously, there are also elements of proportionality and that need to be taken into account, right? I don't think you can come down on, Coinbase. We're of course international brand, and we're listed on the stock exchange, but we're not really comparable to Deutsche Bank, right? In terms of size and scale of that. So sometimes you feel a little bit like there's a walnut coming, a sledgehammer coming down on a walnut. But we part of what we do, and that's our USP, is to be compliant and to make sure that we have the processes in place to build it all securely. I mean, I would note that even before Dora, we haven't been hacked. Coinbase, so
you have a very strong cybersecurity.
We have, and I can say from the inside, our security team is intense. So, but it has to be. I think that's part of the way the space is developing is that you see hacks and so on almost every day, right? It's unfortunate. It's kind of an unfortunate consequence of being on the kind of bleeding edge of this technology.
In some regards, you're also a bit ahead of regulation because he has set up compliance innovation with things like proof of liabilities. Sorry, not liabilities, but proof of reserves and those things.
But I mean, also that's another good point, right? Like there's also elements of the whole like AML package and AMLR and so on, right? Where the blockchain actually makes things a lot easier, right? Where you can take blockchain-based analytics and so on, and you actually don't need as much staff, as much headcount. It's a much process, a different kind of process because you can lean on technology a lot more. So I think there's a lot of scope for really interesting developments as we move forward. But I also think MiCA 2 is absolutely it's going to be crucial next step. I think it's hugely important that that the European Commission and on European level blockchain stays on their radar, and that we continue to move with kind of forward-looking and innovation-friendly regulation, right? I think that's it's hugely important for Europe to cement or build out its place as one of the leading places for Web3 companies to be set up and to build and to grow, right?
Yeah. Yep. Steph, so Coinbase is also a member of your organization, so you certainly know best the demands currently out there for regulators in terms of what should be done in the next few years. Hopefully soon. Hopefully not years, but as well just a year or maybe months as well to get those things through. So, what are your current demands in terms of RWAs, identity, or other sort of DeFi services? So what's the top priority, and maybe you can prioritize them down?
Well, I mean, I think we need to start from making sure that MiCA is understood the same way, that we have clarity in all the outstanding issues. So decentralization for many of you is going to be a key aspect of this. I mean, this year, European Commission is going to publish reports where they're going to give us a little bit more insights into their thinking, into whether they're planning anything new. We're keeping a close eye, constantly engaging with Commission on that. So we'll see what's going to happen. From what we know, Commission doesn't want to regulate it, not because they don't want to do it, they just don't know how to do it yet. So that's something that we'll have to find out themselves, and that's something what we're trying to find out as the industry ourselves, among our Web3, our decentralized actors. We are trying to understand how we should define the decentralization, where we should draw the line, at what point do you become centralized, at what point you should be a part of the existing regulation for MiCA, which, I mean, as any financial regulation tries to tackle the intermediaries, right? Which, again, they don't really exist, or they may not need to exist in the centralized environment. So those are the questions we're trying to pose ourselves to come up with a viable solution for the European Commission, and then potentially to tell them how to approach those topics. But again, to just name the few, I mean, we probably don't have time for everything, but tokenization is going to be a big thing. Whether it's a real world assets, whether it's financial instruments, that's going to be something that probably in the next term we're going to see more in the European Union. Those are the aspects that we are definitely going to follow. There's going to be digital euro, probably something that is developing a little bit on the side, but also its impact going to be interesting on this sector. We need to clarify what's going to happen to stablecoins, particularly the non-euro denominated ones. I mean, we're seeing that they may be subject to quite harsh requirements, potentially being effectively banned in the European Union. So there's a very complex environment that is developing not only in Brussels, but also in Paris on the technical level. And then in member states, right? Because then, Thomas, as you mentioned, it's also a matter of the supervisors, how they are going to understand those rules and apply. We don't have a very good way, I would say, personally think, to make sure that the level of understanding, the knowledge, the expertise, the talents within each NCAs of all the member states are going to be the same. So those are the question marks, those are the challenges that we need to somehow solve in order to make sure that there's actually no fragmentation when it comes to regulation.
Right. We also will decentralize this panel in a second, so I will take questions the last 5 minutes. But first I want to also move more towards the future. And also, Stefan, sorry, as you already said, 1 year from today, we hopefully meet here again. And let's sort of predict, or from a personal view, how the next year might look like. The next year, I mean, if there's from your field maybe as well, do your colleagues maybe as well get a true sense of what the nature of crypto is, for example, and be able to not just discuss sort of token, but as well crypto in general and all the other things we have.
But as Stefan said, we will see a big progress in the thing of tokenization, of course, and this is what I want and what I expect, because what we now need are business models. We need business models. We need some things we can use this, and to make people see for what crypto is good. It's not. I know everything is about the Bitcoin. Okay, I know. Yeah, but there's so much to do, and I hope that we can use the next year to make good business models. I know that here in this audience are people who are working with NFTs, working with tokens.
Please raise your hand if you do that.
So you see, yeah, and I heard of some very good business models, and I think this is only the starting point. And then, of course, we will do in 1 year the next step of the legislation. I hope that I can be the legislator or the rapporteur in this field. And on the political side, there will nothing happen in this time because we need our time after the election to organize our political field in Brussels and Strasbourg. But for me, it's important that the cryptosphere, this family, this crypto space, is developing new business models. Not only lawyers, not only Bitcoin holders or whatever, business models. Yeah, let's see what we can do with this technology. And this for me is a very important thing. And then I think we get a regulation which will cope with the situation and lead it to a technology open field.
What kind of startup would you found if you weren't working in the European Parliament? What kind of startup would you have?
Oh, I think next, for me, I think I'm not a technology expert, but for me the field of NFTs is very important. And on the other hand, of course, the thing decentralized finance. But I'm a big fan of NFTs, so
right.
I'm an NFT man.
Let's hear as well from you, Thomas. 1 year from now, we have the Cyber Resilience Act, we have the AMLA in Frankfurt, we have DORA in place.
Yeah, 1 year. We may have our avatars here talking about all this. I think AI could permit this. But, I mean, joke aside, innovation can be incremental, it can be disruptive. I mean, we could have the iPhone moment, email moment 1 year, but also about the business model. It's good to have like some better use cases, make the existing use cases we have better in some way. We have the regulation, let's make it work. I mean, in 1 year time, MiCA, the first milestone is June, the next is December, DORA is January, so things are going to be really stable from now on. Let's get to work and see what we can do with the tools we have. That's my message.
All right, that's over here. 1 year from now, 2025.
A year in crypto, I like to say, is like 7 years in human life.
That's why we look so old.
So who knows what's going to happen in a year? You know, what's going to be the next big thing in crypto? But I think one thing we're likely to see, with the regulation coming in and the kind of the cost of regulation, that I think we will see probably see consolidation in the industry as a result. I think which should hopefully lead to sort of maybe better organized players. I think also on the crypto side, where I think this time it's different. I think we're starting to get infrastructure through that actually works quickly and works at scale and works cheaply, right? So sorry to pitch L2, but at Base we got at Coinbase we have Base, and Base is starting to be sub 1 second, sub $1 transactions. At that scale, you can start to actually build interesting things, right? You can start to build all the use cases that Stefan was talking about, where the user's not paying $30 a transaction or something like that.
And now you're also giving headache to the regulators because they have to define those things out there.
But that's part of the game, right?
Yeah, of course. Playing back and forth.
Yeah.
Short question to the audience. Are there any questions? Over there? There, and also Yannick, you as well? No? Okay. Please, 1 year from now.
Okay, I'll choose one then, just to make it short. I think I cannot. I have to mention when it comes to the next year the problem of the liability in DeFi environments. We've seen the judgments in the Netherlands very recently, which could be a very risky precedent for holding software developers for what they develop in the DeFi space. This is something that we as association, as Trade Association Brussels, are very deeply concerned, and we're definitely going to be developing our own strategy how to approach this and how to translate and how to explain to policymakers that software developers and the nature of the technology is not always, it does not allow them to control whatever is happening. And that's something that's going to be key. The direction that we're going to take in the next 12 months is going to be the key for the Web3 environment for sure.
Yeah.
And on that front, maybe to mention, we as Blockchain for Europe, together with other associations, also developing a blockchain manifesto. As you know, the election's coming very soon. We want to make sure that blockchain is not going to be completely covered with AI, which is now a trendy technology in Brussels, and a lot of policymakers want to do a lot with that. So with the market, with the industry, we want to develop a business case or we want to present use cases that are going to be proving how blockchain can support the future economy of European Union.
We haven't spoken unfortunately about the security and freedom of developers, but maybe we get some additional time because I think the clock started, I think around 36, so I should get 4 more minutes. Let's start with you. I think it's Stefan, right, from JP Morgan? Great.
I have a question. So now Frankfurt becomes the center for anti-money laundering center. So how you see the regulation will combine with AML? Given that, for example, DID, digital identity initiatives for blockchain, do you think that ECB will centralize that effort and drive that?
The question for Thomas? All right. Pass over the microphone.
Yeah, unfortunately, these are the two topics I'm not really responsible to. For AMLA, I can tell you that it's not an ECB mandate anyway, but for sure, for the systemic banks, we're going to work very closely on this topic anyway. And it makes this more convenient. For digital identity, that's also on the monetary policy. Personal opinion, I'm really optimistic and I see this coming in a very nice way and also blending with the rest of the regulatory changes around. I think this will enable many innovative areas around and will simplify. Because for me, the most successful is something that is simple.
Okay, let's try to get another question from over here in the room. What's your name and
yes,
where you work?
Jörn Jakob Röber. I work for the Digital Currency Governance Group. We're also a trade association sort of for the crypto industry. Stefan, Berger, you mentioned rightly MiCA sort of is an overall regulation and it's relatively broad. And it leaves often the specifics to sort of the level 2 measures, and that's good. I think that's a good development. But sort of some of the level 2 measures, there is a danger that they become again very, very restrictive. And sort of the example here is what I wanted to use was a classification of crypto assets as financial instruments, and there we've seen now the sort of ESMA proposal, which is very restrictive. Do you see that there is a danger that you almost make MiCA becoming irrelevant because there's a danger that you put all the products under MiFID?
Yes, I think this could be a problem, and a lot of power is given to ESMA and to the authorities. Yeah, I didn't have some alternatives because we were starting a thing and we had to do a wide regulation. But of course, what you mentioned, there is little danger, but there is no problem which cannot be solved. Yeah, so for me, it is clear that we need for all these questions a clear regulation. And you mentioned it in your first statement. We cannot do something on national level, on national authorities, or on the ESMA. We have to find on European level clear definitions. And for me, this is what I think and what we need. We cannot do it. But to be honest, I don't know which kind of commissioner is coming, because the question of environmental use and the ban of proof of work or whatever is not from the table. Yeah? So let's see let's see which kind of person is the next commissioner for this field. We have Mairead McGuinness. She comes from Ireland now, and she is very close to the things, financial things, because she's an Irish woman. And I hope that she can do in the next term this very important commission position.
I think you have also your next meeting soon. You're currently touring as well in the whole Germany, so we thank you for joining us. Thank you as well for our crypto ambassadors here in the room, also ECB and regulatory ambassadors. Thanks also to you for staying a bit longer over time. I think next we are going to the Tribune for further continuing this conversation. If you'd like to join us over there, my name is Eric. Thanks for your time. See you around. Bye-bye.